Hey everybody. Hi. Ah. Ian says, blessed be and welcome. Wouldn't be surprised if some people are celebrating the equinox today since it's a Sunday and people are off. And it's a new moon and solar eclipse too, so lots of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Now, someone else is out there because there's a number 2 on my list. I don't think they count me. Do they count me?
Out there singing.
I guess not. Maybe it's just going to be us today. We'll talk about whatever we want, right? Ha 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 ha. It could be fun. Teresa says, I wash dishes and have soup, not soap, soup on the stove. Well, I'm glad it's not soap.
Hi,
The washed
Teresa.
dishes made me think of soap, so there you go. Oh, yay. Welcome. I hear your birthday's coming up. He says, I have had soap on the stove when I was into crafting soap. I guess that is where you cook it, unless you have an outdoor fire pit and a giant cauldron and you're stirring it with the soap thing.
Problem.
Hmm. Your touchpad is doing strange things. Well, we didn't do an official celebration or anything, but we did have pumpkin pie, which is, a fall equinox kind of thing to do. Of course, we've had pumpkin pie several times because we like it. Teresa says, yes, birthday on Tuesday. Is that where you cook soap in your giant cauldron? Oh, I wish. I met a person once who had a pretty good sized cauldron. They're expensive, though. She did have a pretty big cauldron.
One Gwen and Miraji they had one that was like this big around.
Oh, that's like what, 2, 3 feet across?
Yeah, something like that. It was pretty big. It stood about this tall.
That's
it was
big.
big, yeah.
And was it cast iron?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how did they carry it? I think they need a hand truck to move that thing around.
I don't know because I wasn't involved in putting it into place. I was just in the ritual where everybody was dancing around it.
Okay, impressive. I missed that one.
Well, that was in the Mark Anthony. That was before you.
Before I had
Before I
my,
met you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
I definitely did not see that. I was in their Beltane ritual when I almost broke my ankle. That was fun. Would be nice to have a giant cauldron, but not one that big because wouldn't be able to lug it around.
It got like.
It'd take up half the room. Yeah.
Yes, it was in a big room, and we all did a big spiral dance. And it must have been like 30 or 40 people.
Was that like a ballroom at the
Yes.
hotel?
Yes, it was.
Julia says, SL. Hi, Julia. Teresa says the old timers around here had giant cast iron cauldrons and tripods for cooking corn cobs. Probably could find one at auction. Yeah, I don't think we want one that big though. Julia says, slips into my seat, smiles. Am I? Okay. Welcome, Julia. Oh,
been rainy, but we have a sunny day at the moment.
Right now, the sun is out. It rained last night. It was definitely nice and wet this morning. We had some kind of a neighborhood explosion a couple of hours ago, around 11:30, I think it was, which was very startling. We were just sitting in our living room, not, doing anything in particular, and all of a sudden this big kaboom. It was so loud. It startled the living daylights out of us. We went running outside to see what was going on, and 3 houses down, you could see smoke coming up out of the street. But that was it. And then everyone in the neighborhood came running out of their houses. The whole neighborhood was outside. Everyone who was home trying to figure out, including the person whose house it was in front of. They thought something in their house had exploded, but they couldn't find anything. So we're sort of mystified as to what actually happened.
I think it was a firework.
Yeah, that's what Ian thinks. But we didn't see any debris on the road. No one else did. We didn't go down there to look. There should be something left over on the road if it was a firework, wouldn't there be?
Well, I don't know. Those big ones like that, when it's all cardboard, you'd probably find some, but you might have to go looking quite a distance.
I don't know much about it, but it was loud. I was thinking house explosion, gas line or something, but nothing was on fire, and there was nothing else happening in the neighborhood except everyone in the street wondering, what was that? So, yes. Carla says, hi all. Hi, Siofra and Ian. Glad to see all is okay after the explosion. Yeah, Julia says, yuck on phone typos incoming. You should have heard me outside. I was cursing a blue streak. I'm yelling at everybody. Whoever did that, what the heck is wrong with you? Everyone thought I was pretty funny. I didn't think I was funny. I was not happy at all. But yeah, it was unexpected to say the least. So if we hear one while we're in here, I guess we'll have evidence on our video that something happened. Yeah. Britt Farian says, hey, hi, Bree, excuse me, not Britt. Tell ya, my mouth's not working today. Sorry. Bree, welcome. Welcome to our show. Yay. Bree says, still Gabrielle, just shortened my handle. Oh, Gabrielle. Okay, Bree. Yeah, you're sneaky. I thought it might be you. Teresa says, no one called the cops? Yes, our neighbor across the street called the cops. They drove by. That was it. They didn't see anything. So they didn't knock on any doors to ask any questions. There was no property damage, so nothing for them to look at and take care of or investigate, I guess. It was just very startling. And I'm like, I see videos of other people's houses in different places blowing up, and I don't want a house in my neighborhood to do that. That would not be good. Julia says, can't blame you there, Siofra. Bree says, you can still call me Gabrielle. I prefer Gabrielle. I'm just keeping my anonymity. Okay, I will refer to you as Gabrielle when I see the BRI. I'll try to remember, because you know me and my literal brain, I have to translate that in order to keep my brain on track. Teresa says, Gabriella, you just blew your anonymity. And Gabriella says, thanks. You're welcome. But hey, anonymous from other people.
Brought out an antihistamine.
He said, I mean beyond this chat. Yeah. I didn't. I took one before I came out.
Right,
okay. Because I knew I was going to need one. I thought I better take them. The winter smokes are starting and they always make me sneeze. Gabrielle says, I just don't want family or friends to be able to look me up. I understand that, because you really sometimes do not need their input. My sister, asked for input, which I thought, whoa. And she has this Halloween costume she wants to wear to the hospital because she has a procedure on the 30th of October. And it's got blood and all kinds of, it's a shirt with a bunch of blood things on it. And on the front of it, it says, I'm fine. And she asked people what they thought about her going into the hospital for her CT scan wearing that. And a lot of people didn't think it was a good idea, and I'm like, it's going to be Halloween. Other people will be in costume. If they're having a problem with it, I'm sorry, but really? But it was kind of interesting. Gabrielle says, you guys already know me, so I don't care. Good. I'm glad you don't care. Because we do already know you. Yeah, so anyway. An exciting weekend day. I mean, between the new moon solar eclipse today and then the official fall equinox tomorrow, although I suspect a lot of people are celebrating that today because, we're practical witches and pagans, and a lot of people work Monday through Friday, so Sunday's a good day to do a special event. And Carla says, interacting with you all makes me feel like I need a magical name. Hmm. Hey, you can have one. It doesn't matter though. You don't have to. It's fine. It's like, all depends on how you feel. You can always try a few out and see what you think. Yeah, why not? So I went to see my doctor on Monday afternoon, and my test results came back really well. My triglycerides were down, and she was pretty happy with everything. And she recommended I take another herb called berberine.
Yeah.
Berberine.
Berberine, yeah.
And it is a bayberry extract.
Well, not necessarily, but bayberry is
Uh,
the main source of it.
Okay.
But there's also a couple of others,
Of
like
those as
golden
well.
seal and
Right. Anyway, she has put a lot of her patients on this. I think one of her patients put themselves on it, and that's how she found out about it. Apparently, it has a lot of good medical studies with it. And so far, every one of her patients that has taken it has been taken off of their blood pressure and cholesterol medication eventually after it took effect. It also is supposed to be good for blood sugar. And the one I got has got the berberine, the citrus bergamot, which is for the triglycerides, which I've been taking separately, and then the Ceylon cinnamon, which is good for the blood sugar maintenance. So good for people who are diabetic and stuff like that too.
it's all stuff I could use anyway. So
Right. And for some people, it has helped them lose weight, apparently. Um, and I'm feeling much better on the B6. It's definitely made an impact. My temperature seems to have gotten pretty much normal at this point, and my blood pressure started to go down, which is one of the potential side effects from the B6. So between the B6 and the berberine, I'll probably be off my blood pressure medication pretty quick. It's very interesting anyway.
I hope it helps me. Mine is still high even.
Right, and you're on two different kinds, so for the blood pressure. Carla says, I'm sitting here nodding in agreement. And Teresa says, I've been feeling a call to get a sword. What am I to do with it, though? A sword is a ceremonial object, usually. It's for, like, how would you describe that? It's
Well,
a commanding authority?
yeah. Usually, it's more like a sword is very specific. Usually, in my familiarity with it, for commanding and controlling spirit beings, specifically negative ones, because you should technically never have to use such a tool as that on positive spirit beings. So, but it's also used in rituals in some hermetic orders and things like that. Like the Golden Dawn and the OTO use swords in their rituals, things like that. So, yeah, basically, it's in my you know everything that's a tool like that works according to how it's charged up and how you feel about it, and how you make it and what you make it be for. But that's my feeling on the matter is it's mostly for dealing with um, negative beings, though Barden recommends you have one even if you're dealing with positive beings, but you shouldn't need to use it. So that's about my only take on the sword. It's not something I put a lot of time and effort into specifically.
Carla says, really? I need so much help with my mom. Gabrielle says, good. Jen says, hello everyone, blessed be. I am driving, so can only comment at red light, but wanted to know your thoughts on the interstellar object, 3-Eye Atlas heading our way. I think it's really cool that we have an interstellar object, and I don't think there's anything kinky about it. I think it's just an interstellar comet that's composed of different things because it's coming from a different part of the universe and not from our solar system, so I guess we'll see. Sylph says, I'm interested in working with a deity for healing. Is Hathor a good choice for a beginner? I don't know.
I'm not all that familiar with Hathor, but I
Egyptian.
would think she would be a good choice for a beginner.
She certainly is about healing. She's the
Yeah,
cow
I don't know.
goddess.
I don't know that much about the goddess, but she's supposedly very friendly and everything, and I think she'd be an ideal one to start with for a beginner myself. But I have not worked with her personally, so.
And Julia says, speaking of hospitals, I just spent a month in one, got a virulent bacterial infection that ate my right foot, had to be amputated.
Oh.
I am so sorry. That sounds nasty. I'm glad you're okay, but yikes. Carla says, I'll have to look into this stuff. Mom has so many comorbidities and polypharmaceutical measures that I need someone who could help with all that, contraindications. She just got out of the hospital. Well, definitely find out about it because, my sister, I think she misunderstood the citrus bergamot and thought it was citric acid. So I'm going to have to let her know that it's not citric acid.
Not the same thing, yeah.
It's actually an orange, a type of orange from Italy, which is what the bergamot is. But I looked for one that didn't have too many different kinds of ingredients in it. And since my doctor said there are a fair number of medical studies on it, you might be able to find some stuff on the internet about potential interactions or side effects or anything like that. I haven't really looked yet myself. Just found a really good deal for one I'm going to try that doesn't have too many ingredients in it. It just has what I said, the berberine, the bergamot, and the cinnamon. So that's all that's in it. I work really well with plants. It's one of the things my body responds to extremely well. So I'll be curious to see how this works. Tina says, hello everyone listening in. Hi Tina. And Carla says, it's been an incredibly long week. Teresa says, sword, yes, commanding and authority. I had an insight that my mercy severity balance is off. Need to cultivate severity.
And I'd like to, I'm going to make a little comment on this. So for those who don't know, mercy and severity are two aspects of the tree of life opposite each other. But the severity aspect is the number 5, and that corresponds to Mars, which is power and authority, but it also corresponds, according to Barden, into the Akaja and the 5, meaning the power over the elements by the Akaja, by the spirit. So in my opinion, it would be more accurate to call it more like command and authority and control rather than severity, because I don't think there's necessarily a negative aspect to it that the word severity connotes, even though that's the word they use in the Kabbalah, is severity for that sphere number 5, Geburah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel it's more like power and authority and command, and because the Akaja is what gives you control over all this stuff. So yeah, spirit.
So Julia says, so chatting about healing is interesting today. Yeah, given your current recent healing needs. Pencil says, sword can also be used as a symbol of protection. From what I know, it's also related to the direction of the east in some traditions.
Yeah, that's of course it's always a symbol of protection. That's why it's by the command and authority. So yes, and it's perfectly fine to draw a circle with a sword. That's a good that's a good way to make a circle if you really need protection. And the direction of the east corresponds to some traditions that consider it an air aspect. That they use the dagger as an air aspect, like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and a lot of the other Western ones. I'm not sure I agree so much with the air aspect, but then that's a whole nother, that's an entire another conversation. It is um, commonly accepted to be associated with the air aspect, and thus the East in our
Yeah, and
Western
that's my
traditions.
association.
I kind of differ a little bit because it's more of a mental conception, whereas um, you divide and analyze. So it's more an aspect of the mind, that airy connection, and it air is an aspect of the mind, but also there's other aspects than just the mind. But in my opinion, the yellow color of air element and the sword in that is the mind divides things down and takes them apart and analyzes them by cutting them up into smaller and smaller pieces. And that's part of the reason for the air attribution in the dagger, but I feel there's more to it than that myself.
And for me,
Yes.
I got that aspect from Kali, because Kali's sword is an air tool in that she uses it to dispel illusions of the mind. And so it just sort of dispels
Yeah, and if you're
incorrect
looking,
thinking.
if you're looking at the middle aspect, but the air has more than just the mental aspect. It has astral and physical aspects too.
Yeah.
But yes, that is the common. Usually, if you're going for astral aspects, you'd probably use a color light blue. If you want the mental aspects, use the color yellow. Some little esoteric of it probably nobody cares about. Sorry.
That's okay. Everyone's going to have their own
Sometimes
associations.
I know too much about some of this stuff.
Well, and then the whole point is your associations, not
Well,
ours.
yeah, it's how it's charged, really. That's
Yep.
how it's going to function, how it's charged, regardless of what anybody else's association with it is.
So Teresa says, many years ago I had an inner healing experience where Hathor was looking over me in her cow form. Her energy was so deeply caring and compassionate, I say yes to working with her on healing. Carla says, I'll be interested to know how it goes, Siofra. Julia says, it's brutal. I can't walk around yet, and transfers from bed are not going well. I'm so sorry. Teresa says, also, Justice Tarot card refers to mercy and severity. She holds a sword as well. I think, swords have definitely been associated with authority and protection for a long time. And Carla says, energetic hugs, Julia. Absolutely. Julia says, thank you, Carla. Carla says, Kali is strong right now, astrologically speaking. And Carla says, you're welcome, Julia. Teresa says, I appreciate all the insight I can get.
Well, that's how I feel about it, too. That's why I read about anything that strikes my interest, though. Now I've stuffed so much information, I do a lot less reading than I used to. I'm just trying to work through all the information that's stuffed in my head at this point.
Of which there's plenty.
But yes, I still love learning new things. I can't help it. I feel like I'd just stagnate if I couldn't keep learning new things.
Yep.
Life would hold little interest.
Carla says, agreed. That's one of the things I like about being alive. As long as you're learning and growing and engaged and interested, your physical age is less important, I think. Teresa says, I can hardly wait to watch your latest video. Yeah, it'll be out for everybody tomorrow morning. I'm letting all the members watch it. I put it out last night, I think, and so tomorrow morning I'll get on and it'll go public 9 a.m. my time. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to make, trying to figure it out. We sort of coined a new term. Ian coined it. I called the video Universal Mind because the subject is about connecting to the universal mind of things. And since I'd already called it that, and he was making the official version and had to call it something else, he decided to call it Unimind. And ChatGPT thought that was fabulous. So now we have our own hashtag. Hashtag Unimind, which I don't think was a term before yesterday. It'd be interesting if someone else had already been using it and we just didn't know, because it could happen. But yeah, it was kind of entertaining. So I thought, okay, what the heck, we'll roll with it. We'll talk about it that way. Tina says, yes, I never mind Ian's insights.
Oh, thank you.
Carla says, had the coolest witchy stuff happen yesterday. Went to a yard sale and found framed reprints of my two favorite paintings up a mountain called Rattlesnake Pike. Well, that's a great name for a mountain.
Yep.
Does that make it mean there's the rattlesnakes on that mountain? Teresa says, I love Unimind. Yep. I thought it was pretty catchy. Playing a catchy phrase. Who knows? Carlos says, in the middle of nowhere was Van Gogh and Munch. What the F? Yes. Yeah, she posted pictures of that. Van Gogh's Starry Night and Munch the Scream.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. Which are two great pictures. And it's like awesome. Kind of like last week when we found the Garuda Vishnu statue that just popped in out of nowhere. Carla says, yes, so many rattlesnakes.
Yeah, there's a place in Oregon called Table Rock. I lived over by there for a while, so I used to go hiking up there, and there was rattlesnakes galore. And in fact, there were rattlesnakes up there that are bigger. You can look online, and it tells you how big rattlesnakes you get in Oregon, but there are definitely ones bigger in there than they say ever reach in Oregon, but they're wrong.
Yep.
I've seen them.
They're wrong. Yep. I saw online the other day that the orcas off the coast of Portugal and Spain sunk another boat. And they got it on video. They rescued the people who were on the boat, but the boat sank. It was like they think that the orcas are playing with it. They think it's like a toy. I guess a bathtub toy floating on the ocean. They're like, oh, look, that's something we can poke at and make do funny things. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be on a boat off the coast there right now, because if you got the orcas' attentions, that could be the end of your boat. But they did rescue them all. And Julia says, glad to see how well the chat is working today, and I concur wholeheartedly about Ian's insights. Carla says, I was like, what in the world? So awesome, though. Very grateful. Teresa says, Unimind, a gestalt entity born of the collective energy of participants in the ritual of the Unimind. Eternals, humans, deviants, and brethren have been a part of Unimind. Zuras was the first Eternal to form a Unimind and used it to determine who should become the prime Eternal from Wikipedia. Oh my God. Really? Well, we don't have a dash. There's no dash in our Unimind. It's one word. Gabrielle says, I love orcas, laugh out loud. Jen says, I have been watching the astrophysicist Stephen Burns about Three-Eye Atlas, and there's a lot of really interesting symbolism with it. And Carla says, I used to cut wood with Dad back in Rattlesnake Mountain. No bites, many run-ins. Teresa says, in the comics, the Unimind is a personification of the combination of all the Eternals' free will and intelligence.
It's a Marvel thing.
Yes, it's a Marvel thing.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. Well, cool. I'm in good company with the term then.
But Universal Mind was the basis.
Yep.
And Unimind, small m, no dash. But I guess we weren't the first ones. Oh, darn.
Well, that's okay. I like Marvel. Marvel stuff is great. So, in general.
In general.
Except for Aquaman.
Well, that was DC, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was okay. All
yeah,
right, then.
That's not Marvel, that's
Right.
DC.
Yeah, no, it was the...
I like him as a character, but the movie, the second one was awful.
I agree. The character is a good character, but yes, what they did with that last movie was worst
one of the worst DC movies ever made. And then, of course, they had that flop with Marvel.
Of course,
Yeah, with Star Trek.
Yeah, course,
that one, oh my God.
I don't know. The original DC and Batman, the original ones are really bad. You know, the one with Danny DeVito and
Oh yeah,
that.
the movies.
Yes, those were awful.
Yeah, well,
I think. I mean, maybe people liked it, but I thought they were all horrible. I think the newer stuff is much better. Sorry, don't mean to get off the subject.
Teresa says there's also a unit mind. I like your definition though. Julia says deviance. Who's been monitoring me? Tina says, goodness, snakes scare me, let alone rattlers.
Well, yes, I give them plenty of respect.
Well, no kidding. When I lived down about around what was it, Iron Gate Reservoir, came out of the cabin I was in one day to find a rattlesnake was crawling up the side of the cabin and going sideways into the grooves. So it was like doing this kind of thing. Yeah. We definitely gave them a big berth when it came to it. Then a neighbor came over and wanted to shoot it and stopped them from shooting it. I guess Aaron picked it up with a long stick and then carried it off the path and moved it.
As a child, my grandfather used to go looking for the rattlesnake dens that lived up in the area by where we did, and they'd pour gas on them and burn them out.
Ew. Oh, poor snakes. Yep, not a good thing. I guess they felt it was preventative protection.
Yeah, well, up there were like
Way too
snakes
many.
were just everywhere. Snakes were in the yard all the time.
Remember that time we were out looking for a cave and we got separated and I was in the desert part and you were on the other side of the hill and we couldn't hear each other. And I looked down and everywhere I looked there was a snake trail. I was right in the middle of all these snake trails and I was like, ooh.
You know, we bought some better radios to communicate with.
I don't think we even had our radios yet, but
Yeah.
yes, that's when we decided to get two-way radios that
Yeah.
that we would not lose track of one another when we were out there. And Tina says, goodness. Yes. Teresa says, snakes are amazing contortionists. And Carla says, oh my God. Yeah, I got rid of a magazine salesman once when I had a garter snake wrapped around my wrist, apparently. He was not fond of snakes. Lana Banana says, hi, Siofra and Ian. I'm curious to know what you think about veganism, please. I think it's a good lifestyle if people can do it and if that's what they want to do. I don't think it's a requirement in order to evolve spiritually or anything.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's a lot of Hindu stuff, vegetarians and vegans about that. I think that it probably contributes a little bit to spirituality and stuff by lightening your vibrations of your body, but it's not necessary for that purpose at all. However, if you do it right, it can be very good for you.
It's going to depend on your personal
Yeah,
health.
it depends on your health, your body, and a lot of other situations like Kundalini and stuff is another kind of issue. There's two different aspects. If you're having Kundalini issues, sometimes eating meat will slow it down, but also sometimes if you're too vegan and vegetarian and sometimes eating meat will start it up and launch it and make it go. So yeah, it's if it works for you, it's great. I got no problems with it, you know, as a thing, except you need to be careful to make sure you get nutritional requirements like anything else.
Well, right. Everyone's
Yeah.
body is going to be different.
And I think it might help a little bit spiritually, just you know, but certainly not by a huge major amount.
Yeah, and we don't judge people for their dietary choices or requirements when it comes to that, because their actions in general are more important to
Well,
me, how they treat other people and stuff.
Siofra was vegetarian when we got together, but I have my bleeding issues and need iron and all that, so we ended up being meat eaters again.
Yeah,
And I had no problem with being vegetarian either. But,
I was a vegetarian for 17
Yeah.
years
you know, but if
and thoroughly enjoyed it. Did a lot of combination cooking and stuff like that to make sure I got enough protein, etc. Certainly you can get your nutritional requirements. But then you have to watch out for some of the things that you can lack. So getting good blood tests to find out if you're deficient in any of the vitamins or something like that, nutritionally speaking, is always a good idea. And then you can supplement it. Carla says, we see a lot of milk snakes crossing in the hollows. They're not poisonous, but still bite. Julia says, I love snakes, but can't recognize the poisonous ones accurately enough to risk it.
Yeah, at least we're lucky here in Oregon. It's basically rattlers. I don't think there's any other poisonous snakes in Oregon. So if you can recognize a rattler, you know all the poisonous snakes in Oregon.
That's the only one,
Yeah.
pretty much. Unlike where my sister lives in Virginia, where they got cottonmouths and water moccasins, and then of course Florida's got all sorts of things. So, yeah. Teresa says, I live near the world famous Narcisse snake dens, largest red-sided garter snake population in the world. Scientists come from all over the world to study them. That's pretty cool. I actually have one of these in my pocket. I'm going to take one. I don't know what happened to my other ones. They kind of vanished on me. Carla says alligators in the backyard in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad I don't live in Florida.
There's a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
Pythons in the trees. Although we do have a python here on the coast. Somebody's python got away. I'm not sure if it's a python or another type of boa constrictor, but people have seen it from time to time. And then they call the police. And the police arrive and it's gone, so they haven't caught it. I haven't heard any recent reports or sightings of it, but yeah, we do have a local snake on the loose. Remember when we met that huge giant python that guy in the dance class had?
Not particularly, no. Sorry.
Yeah, it was big. Carla says, have you seen them, Teresa? The garter snakes, I'm assuming. Julia says, I love. And Carla says, laugh, laugh, snake, snake, snake.
Those snakes, they look like little
Yeah,
ducklings.
those are little snake with a little coming out. It did look like a duck at first to me.
Things that get so small it's hard to tell what they are. Yeah, except they're green, they would be green ducks.
Gabrielle says Snakes on a Plane is a classic movie. Yeah, couldn't watch it.
But you know, I saw a thing. Samuel L. Jackson insisted that it be named Snakes on a Plane. He said he wasn't going to play it. It wasn't named Snakes on a Plane. Just for what that's worth. Because he thought that was a great name. Wanted that to be it. Though I actually haven't watched it.
Yeah, we started watching it and turned it off. Teresa says, Carla, I have seen them many times and have held them and even rescued scaredy library staff from having to get one out of the library. Carla says, the cop's showing up for a snake and it just slithers on out of there. And Gabrielle says, laugh out loud. That's funny. Carla says, that's awesome, Teresa. Yes, my son was taught how to pick up garter snakes. He was like 3.
He was like too young.
He was 3 years old and way too young.
Yeah, he's too young to know the difference. So you don't teach a kid that young who can't tell the difference not to pick up
other snakes.
Especially if there's poisonous snakes.
Yep. And of course, when he walked in with me nursing his sister with a snake in his hand that was longer than he was tall. Julia says, I lived in Florida for years and never saw an alligator. And Gabrielle says, I remember a king snake named Elvis at my school who ran away. Wow. Snakes are interesting. They have such a bad reputation. It's I had a past life memory that dealt with boa constrictors once. And it was like a matrilineal, tribal situation. And if it was thought that it was used as a lie detector, truth test kind of thing, and they would wrap the boa constrictor around your body and ask you a question. And if you lied, the snake would sense it because your chemical changes in your body and would squeeze you. It was kind of an interesting memory. Who knows for sure how accurate that was, but it was pretty vivid when I had it. So Gabrielle says, so everyone said Elvis has left the building. Teresa says, my mother found a corn snake stuck to a glue trap in my late grandmother's house. Not long after, she found a snake shedding that was way huger than the trapped one, so the snake lives on and is a giant. Awesome. I think my mother had a snake in her playpen outside. I think, what was it? It might have been a king snake. It was non-poisonous, but it was a pretty good sized one. She was, according to my grandmother, I guess, she told my mother that she was in her playpen kind of area outside in front of the house, and she looked over and there was a snake in the playpen with her. My grandmother didn't care for that. Julia said, laugh my ass off at Gabrielle. Carla says, did she save the shed? Ooh, Teresa. No, Carla. Gabrielle says, I found a snake in front of my door a few months before my spontaneous Kundalini. Interesting. Historically speaking, a lot of people end up having a dream about getting a snake bite before their Kundalini comes up. And I had one of those dreams when I was a kid.
Considered a good omen in the Kundalini things, and especially like Kashmir Shaivism and stuff. It's considered a good omen to dream of getting a snake bite.
And it bit my left ankle. I know exactly where it bit me, on the inside of my left ankle, and it woke me the heck up. And I looked, and there wasn't a mark there, but I really felt that bite. So it was kind of interesting. Teresa says, Carla, that must be your magical name. Gabrielle says, then before I figured out it was in a Kundalini, I saw a golden snake coiled up in my belly. Well, yeah, that's what they call it. The Kundalini is the coiled snake in the spine, ready to rise. Pencil says, my mother knows I'm into magical stuff, and one day she came up to me and gave me a piece of snake skin she found in the garden. It was a sweet gesture, but I have no idea what to do with it. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, you might keep it for times when you want to make a change or transformation and use it in that kind of a spell work or as an image, because you're growing out of the skin you're in, and so you're shedding the old in order to make room for the new growth and so forth, which is literally what it's about. So it could use, you could use that in some kind of a personal transformation working, I would think, off the top of my head, thinking about my associations with it, symbolically speaking. Carla says, Teresa. Gabrielle says, I had no idea what a Kundalini until months into it when I met a psychologist who helped me figure it out because she helped a lot of clients with it. But yeah. Gabrielle says, I was so relieved to know what was happening, but was horrified because she said I couldn't stop it and just had to cooperate. Now I'm integrating it pretty well. Well, she wasn't wrong. So, yeah, I'm sorry. It's very difficult to put the slinky back in the box, as it were. It doesn't seem to fit back in quite the way once it comes out. Shoo! Pop goes the weasel. All around the mulberry bush. Some of these old songs are funny. Yeah. I had that really interesting Kundalini this week. I mean, it was pretty strong because I've realized when we were talking about the different channels and so forth that mine usually starts in the lunar channel. That's where I feel it begin, right in the bottom of the lunar channel. And this night, it went back and forth between the lunar and the solar channel and then into the center channel. And it was really moving through my whole body pretty completely. and I was really feeling the spinning of the two channels going around each other as they switched back and forth through the chakras. And yeah, it kept me up for a couple hours. But I felt pretty good the next day afterwards. It seemed to be a pretty healing event as far as it went. Um, Although I get annoyed if I can't sleep at all because I like to sleep, get my rest. Carla says, do you have a shaman or magic bag pencil? That'd be something to put it in, I think. Carla says, low flying chopper overhead. Oh. Gabrielle says, yes, I am. Feel that sensation too, the helix, then it joins into one. Julia says, could add it to an item honoring Hecate, such as an amulet or candle. I mean, you know, in a lot of, in my mind, in all my initial research when I first got into this, the fact that the snake has been categorized as, you know, bringing the downfall of all humans and whatever because it represented what desire and sin and, you know, whatever, the apple and all that jazz. But in ancient cultures, the snake represented wisdom and understanding and knowledge, and a lot of times was associated directly with the goddess. There's a lot of ancient goddess figures that have snakes in their hands or wrapped around them or sitting on them or what have you. And so definitely the snake is associated with that kind of thing throughout history. It's interesting if you can see how symbolisms change and recognize that, you know, just as a general thing, then we can look at the symbols we hold in our own mind and look at them and their roots and see whether or not we want to change how we view them or if we're happy with how we see them, kind of thing, since it's all about us when it comes to that. And Carla says, sorry, just blurting that out. They've been crossing for days. Chopper. Jen says, I loved the video. It was just what I needed to hear too. I love Ian's wealth of information as well. You both have so much collective wisdom.
Nice of you to say.
And I am so sorry, Julia, for the ordeal you're going through. Sending you love. Yeah, that I just can't even imagine. So lots and lots of strength comes. Gabrielle says, the Kundalini has helped my disassociative symptoms. I feel more integrated and calm. It's about learning to accept reality and work with the universe and surrender, but also have creative expression. Yeah, I think a lot of people misunderstand the word surrender a lot.
Yeah.
They think that surrender is giving up your free will and not having any direction except what's given to you, and that's not how I see it. Surrendering to your own nature is not the same thing. It's like allowing it, making room for it to come out. That's the kind of surrender I see. Jam says, hi, Chica and Chico. Hi, Jam. Jesus says, have you given thought to the question of what following the dark path versus the light path can teach you? Yes, I have given that some questions. I mean, I don't see the difference. Because I don't define things as dark versus light. And it's other people's definitions of what a dark path isn't what I see that the dark is all about. It's just like the Tai Chi symbol, yin yang. They're all part of the same thing. One transitions into the other. So I think that it's kind of like right hand, left hand type of thing. I think that a lot of people are afraid of what they think of as the dark path because you work with the dark gods and goddesses, what we call the dark. And that's because it's in the deeper unconscious of yourself and humanity, perhaps, and the world and so forth.
Yeah, you have to discriminate between that and what you would call evil, and realize that evil is just a human definition to start with, and that a dark path does not mean the same thing as what people would consider an evil path.
Well, yeah, and the thing
You know.
is that, shadow work is all about uncovering those things and bringing them out into the light so that you can see them and choose and decide instead of being pushed by impulses that you don't know anything about. So,
Yeah. Find yourself and you shall be free.
yeah,
Well, it's really true. The only way to be free, Otherwise, yourself, your body, your emotions and things can push you around and be slave to them.
yeah.
The only way to be free is to like be in control of that stuff.
And Jam says, "How's Rabbit?" Well, Rabbit got poopy again, and so Friday we had to clean him. So we've decided we're going to do cleaning bunny bottoms every Friday for a while. See if
Or,
we can make sure we get a
or at
handle on
least
it.
check him to see if he needs.
I'm going to buy a really soft cloth so I can wash it. Because the washcloth is too rough for a little bunny. It's just too tender. Oh, Pencil says, I don't have a shaman bag. Gabrielle says, I feel like I have access to all my emotions, so it's painful, but also I feel joy. Yes, making room for your true self. Jen says, have you heard about AI decoding dolphin language? I saw a video about it last week. It was fascinating. They mentioned orcas too. Actually, the video that I saw about the AI decoding was not dolphin language, but it was sperm whales, and they had like 20 years worth of sperm whale recordings. And so I don't know if they've decided to do more videos about it and put other animals in there or not. And there was one conversation that they had that lasted about 20 minutes with the sperm whales, and it was just at the beginning, but it was interesting. So, yes, I have heard about it. Julia says, thank you, Jen and Shifra. Carla says, yeah, that word was hard to encompass, surrender. You grow up with 80s songs saying to never surrender, and you see it as a negative. This is true.
The problem with that is then you fight everything. You never surrender, you fight everything. You just got to make sure you surrender to the right things. Surrender to peace, to harmony. To
Truth.
yeah. There's a whole lot to that. That's a whole giant subject on its own. I won't go there.
All right. Gabrielle says, I feel more accepting of the human experience. I cry and laugh more easily. I enjoy the silence more and the chatter of my mind and the universe. It's a serene chaos. I feel more grounded. So I can make better choices. Yes, definitely. Teresa says, stumbling through the dark and be amazed with what you find. Well, yeah, you certainly can find some amazing things in the recesses of your own thoughts and mind. Gabrielle says, I stopped overeating and started working out. It's easier for me to have self control because I'm not suppressing, but I'm more present and direct my energy to be more useful to me. Yes. And I think that was sort of what happened to me when I was up in the Kispiox Valley and I started deciding that if I was going to eat, I should like the things I ate. And if I was eating something that was good for me that I didn't like the taste of, I could learn to like it. And most of them I did. Not everything, because I have, reactions to certain things, but still, it made eating much more pleasurable and more fun, and then less of a chore and less tempting to do other things. Philip says, can magic help with depression and gaining energy? If so, what practices would you recommend? Well, depression and energy loss is a complex thing. Magic can help with it, but then you have to make sure you're not ignoring other things. Like I had low thyroid, which was one of the reasons why I had really low energy. Apparently, I had a B6 deficiency, which is why my temperature kept plummeting. And, I certainly have had plenty of practice using magic and energy and healing and so forth on myself and other people. So and therapy is always a good thing to do to help dig out what the root of things are. If you can figure out the cause, or help to rearrange your existence so that your triggers aren't being constantly irritated. Um, but what I would do is I like the healing chant, and I do that a lot. The tree meditation, the sacred tree meditation, and the healing chant is very grounding and helps to center you and helps to open up your chakras and give you a little bit more control over your energy and so forth and connect you to the greater energy so you have You're using not just your own energy, but you're connecting to the larger planetary energy that's there and available. And so that can help if you're just trying to use your own resources. That can be very depleting very quickly. And connecting to other forms of existence that aren't human can help, I think, with depression, because a lot of times we get so focused on other people and what they're doing or not doing, and on our own self-worth. Depends on the source of your depression. And so connecting to trees and animals and things like that that just accept us for who we are and think we're fine just the way we are is much more useful as far as our emotional well-being is concerned. Because if we're dependent on other people for that, and they're just as messed up as the rest of us, it makes it kind of problematic. And so yeah, and also I use the cup transformation exercise a lot. So you could use that one. I've got a whole, one video just dedicated to that. And you can put the things that are causing your depression or your feeling of depression into the cup and let it leave you and see it, and then transform the energy in that cup through stages of visualization to something you want, whether it be joy or acceptance or whatever else serves you, strength or courage or clarity, whatever, and then take that back in so you can take personal responsibility for your own state of being, and that can go a long way towards helping with that. But I would not put any of the other things out of the equation. I would not replace any of them with just doing magic. That it is an adjunct. It's complementary to the other therapies and things that are out there, medications in some cases that people need. And don't feel bad about yourself if you need medication, for heaven's sakes. It doesn't mean that you have failed somehow to be a good person or a spiritual person or evolved person or what have you. We all have a body and brain chemistry that we have to figure out the best way to interact with and to navigate being in physical reality through. And some bodies are better than others as far as it goes. And it's not because we're better or not better. It's, as a spirit or as a being. It just happens to be sometimes the roll of the dice, the luck, the not luck, what have you. So, Gabrielle says, I just feel more balanced. Exactly. I feel more present with eating. I mostly eat healthy foods I like, but I can eat snacks too, and I'm still losing weight because my cortisol levels are lower. I like playing with fairies. They love music and creativity. I like singing them songs or making up stories for them. Yeah, find things that bring you joy and happiness, even if they're small little things, whether it's, watching a butterfly in a field or watching the birds in your yard or touching a tree or climbing a tree. I used to climb trees when I was a kid all the time. I loved sitting in trees. That was kind of a huge thing. Teresa says massage has been shown to help clinical depression big time. Feels good too. Yes, definitely. Positive touch can really help a lot. And that's where somebody who's really holding on to a lot of things can learn to surrender to themselves in a safe environment. I've worked on people who've been are survivors of sexual assault in massage as a massage therapist. And it can be very, very helpful to have a safe way of being touched by another person where you don't have to worry about what's going to happen next, kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff out there as far as it goes. So, and look at your look at whatever your vitamin deficiencies or whatever might be. See a doctor and see if you can find out. I thought for sure I had a heart problem until they saw I had low thyroid. It acts a lot like that. Breathlessness, sweating profusely, can't walk across the room. It was bad. And thyroid medication works on me, so yay, I'm so happy. Gabriella says, I started swimming still for my depression and anxiety. Working with the body helps. And yeah, massage is very good for trauma. Yeah, getting out into the world and getting out of yourself and finding, sometimes it can help to find ways to help someone else a situation, you know. Um, it gets you out of your own spiral. It's like a lot of times our internal dialogue becomes like a downward spiral. We start thinking along these lines, and then it sort of sucks us down like into this deep pit. And if we go down too far, it's like we can't stop until we get down to the bottom, and then maybe we can change the direction and go back up. But if you become alert to those tendencies or patterns, you can see them beginning, and then you can do an intervention on yourself. You know, change your behavior, change your circumstance, get out of your head, do something different, and not allow it to continue if you can. So that's also something. Pencil says, Qigong helped me with getting out of depression, but it's important to find a good teacher for it. Nobody was there to help. I asked the universe to help and stumbled upon the practice during research. Yeah, that's a good energy exercise, helping to move your energy in different directions. Sylph says, thank you. You're welcome, and hopefully some of what we said is helpful. It's like, you know, when you're talking to someone, you can't see them or read their energy, you don't know for sure exactly what's going on. It can be challenging. So we try the best we can. But try not to lose hope. If there's anything I've learned from my 75 years on this planet, things always change. Nothing stays the same forever, especially if you allow it to change. It's like there's always waves coming and going kind of thing. Just have to keep on working at it. And try not to be mean to yourself. I mean, we are so hard on ourselves sometimes. The inner dialogues that we have with our own brain, like we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not worthy enough. Why didn't I know this sooner? Like, you know it when you can. When it becomes obvious is when it becomes obvious, and beating yourself up over the head for not knowing it before then is an exercise in futility. It doesn't matter. It's like you know it and understand it when you know it and understand it, and go forward from there, not go back and then judge yourself for not knowing it. Like, we're really good at beating our younger selves up. Oh, I was so stupid. Yep. Gabriella says, music can help too with state changes and letting any grief out and watching movies with positive resolution. Yep, good ideas. Julia says, I am looking forward to getting a 3. Whatever that is. You need to tell us more. I don't understand. Carla says, oh my God, sometimes inside our own head is the worst place to be. Gabriella says, yeah, it's hard being nice to myself. It's hard to take compliments too. If you have people around, you know, you can have appreciation circles and see how hard that is. I have learned over the years, when someone gives you a compliment, the correct response is, thank you very much. That's it. You don't add, it was nothing, I really wasn't on my best day, I could have done better. No qualifiers. Just thank you very much. And practice that when someone gives you a compliment. Say, thank you very much. It's amazing how much that can work. Carla says, yep, music is the answer. Gabrielle says, I did EMDR last Thursday in therapy, and it helped clear a lot of upset. Oh, that's good. I know that's a type of therapy. And that's the thing, you have to be willing to do it. Teresa says, for my birthday, I want an appreciation circle. Thank you for opening up the window. Might as well, it's getting warmer in here. Not like we need the heat yet. I planned a birthday once for myself. It was like, and I invited all these different people to come to my birthday. And first I did a poem I wrote about my childhood and where I came from and what had happened to me from the time I was a child, but then how how I got out of it and how I grew and so forth. And then everybody in the circle did an appreciation of me. And it was pretty powerful. That was back in Santa Cruz. It was very interesting, um, and different from any other birthday party. Was that when I got my athame? Might have been. I can't remember. No, I think that was at a ritual. So Carla says, I'm going to make an appreciation feather for an appreciation circle. Oh, that sounds nice. Gabrielle says it stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. It's good for PTSD and anxiety. Yeah, I've heard about it. We have someone here in town who does that. Um, it didn't work on the other grandmother in the family, but I'm not sure if the reason it didn't work was because she couldn't comprehend what she was doing, which could be. But it just made her more depressed. She tends to be obsessive anyway and focus on things like that. So Pencil says, I love listening to sacred music. I just stumbled today on a piece that literally made me cry. It was Ecclesia by Anonymous 4. Thinking anonymous, yeah, it's got to be. I just.
Well, maybe that's what
Yeah.
Bands have a tendency to spell their name
In unique ways. And it's good to find things. Just thinking about movies and how, some of them have had such an impact on me emotionally. And some of those can do that too. Gabrielle says, that's wonderful, Pencil. Humor, laughter, good tears, joy, beauty, hope, all that stuff can be really powerful. And we're all just humans trying to figure this out. I like being who I am. There's a bunch of activity out there. Like the crows are trying to chase somebody. They're yelling. Probably one of those birds. Dancing is always a great pick me up, or playing the flute, the ukulele. Well, I used to do a lot of dancing, remembering the time that I was an aura dancer. In fact, the other night, I think after the Kundalini had kept me awake for a while, and I was up for a bit, I was doing some aura dancing in my room. It was kind of fun. Watching all the energy flowing around, making colors, thinking about it. Yeah, Gabrielle says, I can't be depressed while playing a ukulele. It doesn't seem to lend itself to a depressive state, does it? It's too high pitched. Like, yeah, maybe a bass. You could get some depression going with a bass or something, but not a ukulele. It's too high register. Sounds high and cute. Julia says, a prosthetic lower leg, 6 or so months to go first. So I have a big goal to work towards, not a disability, but a challenge to grow stronger. Yeah, they have some amazing prosthetics nowadays. So, you might be able to run faster than anyone you know when you're done. It's like, at least on one side. I don't know if it would work quite the same way as the people who've lost both sides. It's like, but yeah, at least technology has come a long way when it comes to that, helping. No more peg legs like the old days, right? Which seemed very awkward. So yeah, I know you have a lot to go through, but yeah. And you have good doctors, hopefully. So it should be a good thing. Carla says, do you guys ever use binaural beats or solfeggio frequencies?
Nah,
No, not really.
played with them at one time a little bit. There was some,
Binaural.
yeah, there was some place called like Dr. Hill's, some old stuff that years back. They had a binaural frequency generator, little set of headphones put on, 555 oscillator.
Ariel says, oh my god, yeah, those runners with the running prosthetics are pretty quick. Yes, they are. There's a lot of things that science has been able to help us to overcome. Thank goodness. At least some things went in the right direction as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Challenges, not disabilities. I like. That's a much better way of putting it. You definitely want everything to be working really well and make all your progress points as you go along. Julia says, if the guy who's working with me is any example of possibility, then I got this. Good. They got you matched up with somebody. That's a good thing. And you're not like following in your misery. Staying positive, moving forward. Definitely a good look to do that. Accepting the reality of the situation and then figuring out the best approach to take in order to meet it. So, yay, Julia. I'm glad that the infection didn't take the rest of you. Must have been pretty bad if it took your foot. Did they figure out what got it started? Is it like an insect bite or something? I guess I shouldn't pry, but you can tell us if you want. If not, that's fine. A bunch of hearts just came in for you, Julia. We're all thinking about you. Yeah, being authentic is important, I think. Genuine, authentic, real. When people you know and care about start lying to you, it's really hard to trust them after that. I think that, how we present ourselves and what we do is important. And, if we make a mistake, fine. We make a mistake, we do better next time. But, our integrity happens when it happens. Teresa said, did my comment go through? Apparently not.
No, I don't see. The last thing I've got from you was for your birthday, you want an appreciation circle.
Yeah, that's the last thing I saw. Try again, Teresa.
Sorry.
You know YouTube, apparently. They get snippy. And we have no way of controlling that.
I don't know why. It just appears that people's comments sometimes just go away.
Well, maybe it's wandering around the internet, bouncing from here to there and getting lost. And it's like went down a dark hole somewhere and is screaming in the dark, going like, where am I? I can't get out. I wonder sometimes. They say nothing ever goes away, but where does it go when you can't find it? I just saw a headline on YouTube that trans, that's as much as went through, and maybe that's why. We're waiting for more. Activism will now be classified as terrorist act.
Terrorism. So that's what it's hiding, is the word terrorism.
The word terrorism is what it's hiding, according to the FBI. Yeah, I saw that headline.
Yeah.
My country's going backwards so fast, I can't even keep up. Julia says, the first time I saw my foot, I said to it, oh, my poor dear, and apologized to it for my part in the bacteria turning it to a dead mess. Yeah, poor thing. And yes, I saw that whole thing on that subject, and I think it's absurd and ridiculous, and it makes no sense to me. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bad thread. What can I say? It's a bad stream. I don't want to get into that stream. I want to avoid that stream at all costs. I'd like that stream to just piddle off and go away and just end in a dead end somewhere, nothing. And the big rump says that the country may need to be closed for a while. Well, hey, we don't have that many tourists coming anymore anyway, so will we even notice?
Yeah.
Considering the fact that a lot of countries are putting us on their
Well,
don't go unless you don't want to, unless you want to come back really fast.
Well, they're probably thinking of us like a fascist country now.
There's something about not being able to afford Social Security and other stuff. Yeah, well, their rhetoric just keeps on going. We'll just wait and see what happens. I don't waste my time trying to predict where it's going to end, considering the fact that they change their rhetoric sometimes on the hour, and then yeah, it gets blocked or what have you. And Teresa adds, closed, I think, also may mean keeping people from leaving. Oh, maybe. Although I think he wants to get rid of most of us. So Julia says they took it off up to mid-calf over 3 operations in 5 days. Well, that seems like a lot of operations to go through for that.
Yeah.
Ow. It hurts thinking. Guess they were hoping to be able to stop sooner than they did. Like, aw, poor Julia and poor leg. Well, at least you didn't get bit by a shark. Right? That's a good thing, not being bit by a shark.
Yeah.
Although that'd be fast. Damn, it'd be gone. Wouldn't have to take a bunch of time to wait it out. Oh, so anyway, I'm not worried about it. I don't see any point in worrying about it. I can't do anything about it. I'm gonna keep on following my path and see where it leads. So hopefully we'll have more people participating in the Amethyst Crystal Web in 2 weeks when we do that again. Since we had like 170 some odd people watch the last one since I put it up on YouTube, which was
Cool.
kind of nice to try and get the word out there a little bit more, to get more activity. The more we can do that, probably the better off we'll be.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Get a big group together would be nice.
Teresa says, Julia, keep strong. You will adapt and find your best self. Yep, she's definitely on her way to do that. Like most of the people left already. 1:20, an hour and 20 minutes. We got 10 minutes left. Yep, there goes another one. Just us core people left.
Well, that's just fine.
Yep, that's just fine with us. This is our group family kind of thing.
Yep.
Some days we have lots more people than others. There's something flying in here?
I saw something fall from the roof and I thought it was.
I see, okay.
Water damage that happened. Places dead.
Yep. Teresa says, I've been enjoying taking part in the Amethyst Crystal Web rituals. I've been looking forward to it now. Tina says, I really hope to join you live next time. Yeah, it would be wonderful. we enjoy having the people there, and it is great. It really is. It's always a little bit different. I mean, we follow the same format, but each time something shifts a little bit because I try to stay in the moment. It's not all by rote kind of thing. So hopefully we'll see you then. That would be lovely. Julia says, yeah, the first two were to clear it out. The third to create the padding for leg was, I was actually so calm. Thank you all for the blessings. Well, good. I'm glad. Definitely. So,
Thank you all for being here. We've got a lot less people than usual today.
well, I mean, it is Sunday equinox,
Yeah.
solar
That's
eclipse,
undoubtedly why. Yeah.
new moon kind of a day. So, I would not be surprised if a bunch of people were doing their own rituals and so forth for the equinox. I was thinking about doing one this year, but it was too much to try and organize, and then part of the family got sick, so
Well, you know, it's just anymore. It's just so much easier to just do individual rituals.
yeah,
You get past a certain age, and it's like,
it's okay. The season is changing, and interestingly enough, we had someone from our old group contact us, and she's going to come over to visit us next Friday, this coming Friday. It'll be nice to reconnect. She's one of the people that we've always held in a good place in our hearts, I guess, is one way of putting it. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens there. Tina says, so sorry, Julia, wishing you much healing going forward. The bunny is definitely happier now that his tush has been cleaned again. He was bouncing around all over doing binkies this morning. So, and he wasn't feeling as put out about it this time as he was the first time we had to do it. He forgave us like right away.
I guess the question is, if everybody's through talking, should we call it early?
Well, we've got like 7 minutes, and
I don't mind. It's just like,
Julia says, I sat and pondered things and found a kind of peace in the situation for some reason.
well, that's a good thing if you can do it for sure.
Acceptance.
Yeah. You know, you need to, yeah, acceptance of what is.
Versus
You
what you
know,
wish or what could
If
have
you can,
been.
if you can change it, and you want to, and you decide to change it, that's fine. But if you can't change it, then you ought to accept it because there's no point, you know,
Right.
unless you decide you're going to do something to try to change things. And body things are like that. Sometimes you know, got to accept them.
Yeah. Tina says, that's wonderful, Julia.
Yeah.
Teresa says, yesterday I watched a video of a cat grooming a bunny. The second bunny wanted in, and she groomed both for a while. Well, when our bunny is in front of the water dish and our cat wants to have a drink of water, the cat goes behind the bunny and touches him with his nose, and the bunny jumps ahead so the cat can get in and drink water.
They do pretty good interaction, but the great thing about the bunny is he's such a bundle of joy and energy. You when I walk into the living room out of the bedroom, he'll make circle and do dances around my feet and circle around me and do figure eights around my feet and things like that. And he's just a delight. He's just a delight to have around.
Yep.
Doing binkies and zooming around the house, and he arranges things according to his liking. Objects. He's very specific about where he wants certain things, and if certain things get in the way of one of his pathways, he doesn't like it. And he's got to get it out of there, even if it's bigger than him, like a great big bottle of hand lotion that fell on the floor in his pathway, and he wanted to move. So he was just working, shoving on that thing, pulling it. And so I picked it up and saved him the effort.
And I don't know what he did, why he did this particular thing, but I had taken the inside of a toilet paper roll and stuffed it with hay. And he'd been eating the hay out of it, and one day, suddenly he decided, for some unknown reason, to pick it up and stick it in the water dish. I looked up and I'm like, what is that in the water? And it's like this toilet paper roll, which is soaking and starting to unroll. So I took it out and moved it, and then he put it back in the second time, so I threw it away that time.
Yep.
Like, okay, apparently you can't have that. Tina says he sounds so fun.
Yes,
yeah,
he is.
He is very fun.
Really entertaining.
And it was nice that he actually jumped up on my lap that right after he got groomed that afternoon. He jumped up that evening and let me brush him and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have to be careful with bunnies though, because they're silent, and they'll make it if they like you. I mean, they have to really like you. But he'll make a jump for the lap, and of course he's down low and he can't see if I've got anything on my lap or anything. So it's so cute, but sometimes it can be unexpected. All of a sudden there's a bunny like flump in the middle of your lap. And then if you jump, you have to be careful not to jump and be startled, or he'll jump off and run away because he's so sensitive. But yes, when he jumped right on top of the cat, that was entertaining. The cat was on my lap and he didn't see it. He just jumped up, whoop.
Right on top of the cat.
And the funny thing was he landed right on top of the cat, and both animals sat there for just a fraction, like, what the F, before, and then there was, pew, both directions. Zing, they were gone.
And they were gone.
But that was the funny part, was it took him a minute. There's a bunny on top of the cat on top of my lap for just like a minute. It's like, what? What's going on? And pew!
Here we go. Teresa says, so when we're done, I'm going to make a batch of Fergasa bread and we'll offer a slice of the Crossroads tonight. Sounds like fun. And Gabrielle says, bunnies are so cute. Julia says, one of my favorite sayings was, I recognize that it literally was. It is what it is. Freaking out wouldn't help. Yes.
Yeah, that's very true. Yep.
Acceptance, like I said, the right kind. It's not defeat, it's acceptance. Like, there's a difference.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, we've only got a couple of minutes, so we might as well get going now. But, you know, it's been fun. And I'll be looking forward to those of you who haven't seen the new video when you get to see it, when it comes out to the public view tomorrow. And see what you think of our Unimind. So, that'll be fun and interesting. And I guess life will continue to roll along as it does. Keeps us on our toes. Ian is typing. Say goodbye. Teresa says, I wish we could stay and visit longer. Had a hard night last night. This is uplifting. I'm sorry you had a hard night, and I'm glad it's uplifting.
Glad it's uplifting.
Ian says, blessed be all you great people. Thanks for being here with us today. Gabrielle says, blessed be. Tina says, looking forward to that. All right, guys. It's been fun. Everybody have a safe time and enjoy whatever the world brings to you, and hopefully it'll all be good things. Thank you for the lovely chat, Tina says. You're welcome. Julia says, blessed be to all of you. Thank you. Loving hugs to those who want them. And thank you, Ian and Siofra. Thank you, Julia. And definitely lots of healing energy back at you. Teresa says, bye all. Bye, Teresa. See you next week.